Hi everybody and welcome back to my modeling channel. So today we're going to start an Airbus A320neo scale 144 from Zvezda. So let's open the box and see what we have inside. So our box is initially composed of a few sprues. As you can see, this is exactly the same as the 320, the regular 320. I believe that Zvezda must be using the same mold. Anyway, the big difference is mainly the engines and then the winglets. So let's have a review on the kit. We can see that we have the fuselage, and all is composed of a very thin engravement. So structural and panel lines are engraved in the plastic, very thin. It's very nicely done. We have the possibility of doing the cockpit. As you can see, some parts of the cockpit, even the passenger's door for the front left door, and you have a possibility of designing that aircraft airborne. So here you have the landing gear with the open strut in the airborne position. So this is a very nice kit, I have to say, and I've been used with Zvezda to a very high standard compared to a lot of other brands. So now we are going to move to the wing section. So the wing sections, you have basically the upper side of the wings and the lower side, and you have the options of putting the slats and flaps in retracted or in deployed position, and you have few options for the flaps as well. So this is a really good options that Zvezda is offering you. You also have winglets or the standard as well, so this is coming as well from a classic, the previous mold, I would say. Now the next sprues is detailing all the engines of that 320neo, and another good thing, it was like exactly on the same as the 737neo. You have the options of basically you have the fan blades, so you can do a little bit more detailing to your kits, and that's really a beautiful things to do on those kits. And you have both options for the engines. You have two options. You can either do, I think it's the LEAP engine or the Pratt & Whitney, but they more or less look the same. But just to be careful, so you have engines for both options, which is a good thing. And now we're coming to the clear part, and I have to say that with this possibility of designing the cockpit, it's a good thing to consider if you buy the mask for the windows and the cockpit windows, and then you could design the cockpit, and that would add a little bit more reality. So basically it's quite simple, but you have the landing lights, the nav lights mainly, and cockpit windows and the passenger windows on that kit. So those are for the clear part. Now, as usual, Zvezda is giving you a stand, so if you want to design that airplane airborne, you'll have that option. And now we're moving up to the decal options. So it's a classic sheet. You have the co-regard with the emergency exit, which is a pretty nice one, I have to say. And this is to design a 320neo from SAS. So it comes as well with the decal sheet, colored decal sheet. And I have to say that it's a very nicely, it's a nice one as well. So recently Zvezda came up with those solutions, and I have to say that it's really helpful as well. So, and here we have the decals. The instruction sheet, it's a standard as well. It's an A4 format. You know, you open it, you have 2 pages, and you can design your aircraft the way you want it. Flaps, slats, different type of engines. So it's a really complete kit of the A320neo with all the options that you could possibly wish, without adding furthermore resin stuff. Of course, you have some photo etch parts to redesign the cockpit, but still, I think you have it's a really well done kit. And as usual, I'm very happy with the product I get from Zvezda. It's one of my favorite brands for airliners at the moment. So enough of talking, and let's start building that 330neo. So we're gonna start that kit by preparing the fuselage. So on this aircraft, well, the particularity is that you can build the inside of the cockpit and the galley entry. And I will also, but I won't use it. Normally what I will do is I will put the passenger windows, and shortly after that I will close them up. So I will build the cockpit, but I won't do any paint on this one. And what I will do is I will keep the main passenger door closed, and I will use decals, as I have photorealistic decals for the cockpit as well. So this will be a little bit different. So I will assemble the cockpit briefly, and then what I will do is instead of doing any details, I will add some modeling paste through the cockpit, and like this the aircraft won't sit on its tail, and will be able to have a more realistic effect. Now that the fuselage is completed, we're going to start working on the wings. So the good thing on that Zvezda kit is, you know, that you have the possibility of putting the slats and the flaps in out position, which I will do it a little bit later. So now what I will do is I will do the basic assembly of the wing. That means without the slats and flaps, that I will keep toward the end. Just gonna do the upper side, the lower side, and add the winglets as well, as this is a Neo version. While the wings are drying out, we're gonna prepare now the engines, those new type of engines. So there will be a little bit of preparation, and of course there will be the assembly. So I have to say that the great thing about that kit is you have a lot of details on those engines. So it's much more detailed than the Rebel kit. So you have the possibility of assembling the fan, which is in two parts, and you'll be able to give a lot of details, a lot of colors, and inside the engines. Of course, after that, the usual basically putting the putty, filling the gaps, and of course letting it dry, and then of course at the end we have to remove the extra putty, and we'll have to do a lot of sanding down. But I have to say that the Zvezda kit for this are really a dream, because there is not much to do, to be honest, on those aircraft. It's now time to assemble the wings to the body of the aircraft, but for this there will be a little bit of fiddling. Then of course we'll be able to do it easily. So using the standard rubber glue, and we're gonna put that together. Of course we'll have to let it dry, and then a little bit later, when it's dried out, we'll have to fill the gaps once again, and with putty, and then let it dry, and of course sanding down once again. So after that we're gonna finish the vertical stabilizer, and add a little bit more of those details. We're gonna work on the wings and add the flaps fairing now, and getting closely to the end of that build. And of course now what we are going to do, we're gonna fill the gaps as well on all those engine assembly to get a little bit more realistic effect. And of course once the putty has dried, we'll finish this up. So now what I'm doing is I'm painting the wings, and those wings are a light gray color basically, and I'm gonna use the Zvezda Corrugator decals later on, so that's gonna save me a little bit of extra time basically trying to build up that those extra colors. So of course I'm using that for the horizontal stabilizer,
and of course I'll put the engine mount with that gray color. After that, of course, we'll paint the engine separately a little bit later on. So now we're gonna paint the leading edge of those fan discs. They were a basic flat black, and then we had to do that, use that enamel paint, metal coat, and I'm gonna use the same as well for the engines. And later on I'll do some more details. I will add some more details, but you will see this as there will be different type of colors on those engines. It's now time to add some masking tape for the leading edge of this aircraft, especially on the winglets. We're going to use later on aluminium, matte aluminium on that, and of course what I'm trying to do now, I'm masking all that gray area, and then we're going to be able to paint those leading edge on that aircraft. So back quickly to the paint booth. Now we're gonna paint our engine, the engine body, basically with a blue, I would say a blue color, and then we're gonna let it dry. I had to add a little bit more putty on the nose gear door, and now of course what we're doing, we are sanding them down, and then we'll be able to proceed with the white coat on the overall fuselage. So for this I use a standard clear white from Tamiya, and I have to say that this batch went much easier than the further one I bought from UK. So still a pretty nice result on that aircraft. So after that I used the Nazca decals. I've been working with Gaston for a while, and I normally pretty like his decals. They are very neat, very easy to work with, and which was the case. I didn't have to do a lot of trimming, but just some light adjustment, and of course using a sharp blade, and then but nothing else. I mean, nothing difficult or nothing major that nobody could handle. It's quite easy to work with those decals. So I had a little bit of fiddling and work on the tail, but more or less everything went smooth, and the rest of the decal went really very easily, and make a very nice colors on that A320neo. So you can see that except this little bit of fiddling, everything is working very nicely. It's now time to work on the flaps. So basically I will put a clear coat of metallic paint, as there is a slight line that we can be done, and then I will use a regular gray, light gray, to do some more details on the undercarriage. So of course I have to add some masking tape, as you can see on those flaps, where basically I have to cover that metallic color. After that we will apply the same light gray color, and then this will be the end basically. So after that, now what I'm doing as well, I'm painting the struts. So for this I use some acrylic paint and some enamel paint, and I did the same for the carbon brakes using a darker metallic color. Of course after that, yellow color correction, light gray color for the inside part of the wheel. So beside that, now we're doing the last touch up, and then we're gonna finish up that model very soon. Now we're putting the APU exhaust with a metallic color as well, still using the same enamel paint from Humbrol. And now we're gonna build the undercarriage. So the undercarriage is very easy to assemble, and I have to say that the fitting with those parts with the Zvezda is really very easy to do. So once we finish to assemble those wheels, we'll have to do some paint touch up, mainly on the tires, as I had some issues with the black when I applied the airbrush. And then after that we'll paint with a light gray the undercarriage cover basically. And shortly after that we're gonna do the final assembly of that A320neo. It's now time for the last touch up on that aircraft. So we're gonna mount those engines finally under those wings, and then we're gonna add the flaps and the slats on that model. So this is the final result of that A320neo from SkyExpress. I hope you enjoyed that build with me. If you did so, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I will see you soon for another build video. Thank you for watching.